drugs, they have a quick trial and they execute the people. And it's a terrible thing when you think about it, but when you really think about it, the average drug dealer, I just saw a statistic, the average drug dealer in this country kills 500 people over a lifetime. 500 people. So when you look at that, and China has no problem, the countries with the death penalty, they're the only ones that don't have a problem with drugs. The only ones that don't, Singapore has a very strong death penalty. If you sell drugs, if you're a dealer, if you sell drugs, you get the death penalty. And people say, you know, let's go someplace else. Let's go to the U.S. and do it, where they don't even do anything to you. I mean, they don't even do anything. And until you get smart, you're going to have a tremendous problem. But I had it so that President Xi was going to give the death penalty to people that made fentanyl and sold it into the U.S. But once I wasn't there, that deal died very quickly. He had no choice but to do it, too. We were very, very strong. We have a lot of power over China. People don't realize it, but we have tremendous power over China, but they don't use the power. They don't know how to, I don't even think they think we have the power. We have tremendous power over China. Yes, sir, in the back with that beautiful cowboy hat. I want to get one. That's going to go down in history ultimately. And Ashley Babbitt was killed, shot by, in my opinion, a rogue cop. He had no business doing that. He shot her unarmed. And actually, people say she was trying to hold back the people that were pushing her forward. Ashley Babbitt was the one that was killed. She was the one that was killed. And they like to say 5 people. That's the truth is. And there happened to be somebody else also in addition to Ashley. But Ashley Babbitt was a big supporter of everybody in this room. And by every account, she was an incredible person and a great patriot. And he shot her just like he had no problem. And then they wanted to shield him, right? They wanted to shield. And he ends up on NBC. Being interviewed on NBC because he was so proud of himself. He thought he was a big shot. And they ought to look at his past record, by the way. Take a look at his past record.
Kim Reynolds for governor of Iowa.
Good. That's right. I hate to say it, without me, you know she was not going to win. You know that, right? I gave you a couple of them. Without me, they wouldn't have won. But I gave you some good people. You have some good people here. But as far as the time, it's a great question because I've been watching DeSantis go out and say, "I've got 8 years. It's going to be 8 years." Let me tell you something. Right there, you should vote against him. It'll take me 6 months to have it totally the way it was. We'll have it fast. It's drilling. It's the wall. And it's getting criminals out of our country that have been allowed to come in so freely. We're going to get them out. ICE, we're going to double up on ICE and the Border Patrol. They're incredible people. Brandon Judd and Tom Homan and some people that we have are phenomenal people, but they don't use the good ones. They use very liberal, very radical left people, and it's hard to believe. You know, I did hundreds of miles of wall. Then I said, you know, we should do more. What do you think? And they gave me other locations. We were going to add another 200 miles to it. We started, would have been done within a few weeks. And the stuff was all there. They actually lifted it up and took it where Texas and Arizona can't get it. Can you believe it? Instead of saying, you guys put it up yourself, at least. But they didn't want it up. That's when I said, these guys actually believe in open borders. Who can believe in an open border? But when I heard DeSantis go out and say, and talk about 8 years. We need 8 years. You don't need 8 years. You need 6 months. We can turn this thing around so quickly. If you need 8 years, who the hell wants to wait 8 years? You don't need 8 years. I'll have it turned around, and I think fully turned around. We'll be drilling, and we'll be doing a lot of things. We'll be energy independent in 6 months. We'll be able to do that in 6 months. Don't forget, I filled up the national reserves. I did a lot of things at very cheap prices. Congress held me back, actually. But we had a deal where I was going to fill it up for nothing, you know, when the oil was down so low because we had so much of it. We have more liquid gold under our feet than Saudi Arabia and Russia. Think of it. We have more than any other country. We were going to double up on that. We were not only going to be dominant, we were going to be beyond dominant. We were going to be bigger than Russia and Saudi Arabia ×2. We were going to make a fortune with energy. We were going to start paying off debt and further reducing taxes. It was so beautiful. It was working so great. And then they just shut it all down. So a shame. But it's not 8 years, it's 6 months. And we'll be back. We'll be back in business, and sooner than that. And we'll be back in business, and those tractors are going to be spending a lot less money for their energy. And the food prices are going to start coming down, and a lot of things are going to start coming down. It'll be a beautiful thing to watch. It's going to happen very quickly. And I'm very experienced now. You know, it's not like I'm going in and say, oh, this is a nice office. Is this the Oval Office? It takes you about a year to sort of say, can you believe this? This is the Oval Office. I won't have to say that. We're going to do it very quickly. And I think within 6 months, you're going to see a major part of the comeback. Not 8 years. He'll stop saying that. Watch. He's going to stop saying that. Because if he needs 8 years to turn it around, he's saying, well, I'm going to, you know, I could be. Let me tell you. I'll go 4 years. And if I do a great job, we're going to have a great Republican. Somebody is going to go another 4 years or 8 years. So it doesn't make any difference. But when he says 8 years, every time I hear it, I wince because I say, if it takes 8 years to turn this around, then you don't want him. You don't want him as your president. You ought to go to the third, fourth, fifth, or sixth guys. But they're usually polling at about 1%. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, well, we'll do one more. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hi.
Hi, President Trump. I just graduated high school 2 weeks ago.
Great.
Thank you. And so my question for you is, since your last term in office, there have been a lot of attacks on education in terms of censorship and all of that. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on parental control and that kind of thing within schools, school choice, and all of that. Education is very important to me, so wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
So
Thank you.
very good question. Congratulations, by the way. Good. Were you a good student? Were you good? Pretty good. Okay, just pretty good.
She just got a $180,000 scholarship, a naval scholarship to go to Yale.
Wow. Oh, wow. She's very modest. She's very modest. That's fantastic. That's great. Congratulations. Very big on school choice. Can you imagine we even have to talk about parental control and basically having parents get involved? We have school systems that don't even want to talk to the parents about their children. And you talk about changing gender and things where the child can make a choice and the child can be unbelievably young. The country has gone sick. It's gone sick. And I don't like the term woke because I hear woke. You know, it's like just a term that half the people can't even define it. They don't know what it is. But you look at these things like women getting, competed with, men that were men and are men, and they're out there swimming and setting records. You see the records that are being broken? Records that lasted for 19 years are being broken by, 30 seconds. They're trying to win by a 16th of a second in swimming on one of the events. A 16th of a second. They're trying to win for years. And a guy comes along and breaks the record by, numbers that will never be broken again. Unless you have another guy come along, and then he'll probably have it broken. The whole thing is crazy. I'm not a fan of LeBron James, but I said, if I were the coach of a women's basketball team, I would have the greatest team. I'd say, LeBron, would you like to become a woman? And I'd go to another 4 or 5 big guys, and I'll say, how about we will be undefeated for many, many years. There will never be anything like it. I'll go down as the greatest coach in history. They'll say I was the greatest ever. No, it's so crazy. And that's all woke. That's all, I guess they define that as woke, but that's all woke. We have to bring common sense back into the country. People say, oh, you're conservative. I said, yeah, I'm conservative. But more important is I'm a person with common sense. And so are the people in this room. And our country needs common sense back in leadership. We had great common sense for 4 years, and we produced the greatest economy ever. I rebuilt our military. I mean, the $85 billion was massive, but it was just a small portion of what we rebuilt. It was a massive amount, but a small portion. But when you look at what we did at the border, when you look at what we did in every single aspect, even right to try, where we had for 58 years they've been trying to get this, where we have very far-reaching drugs that were good, but they're not approved by the FDA, and somebody's terminally ill. And we couldn't get the drugs. They go to Asia, or if they're poor, they just go home and they die. They have no hope. But they'd go to Europe. They go all over the world looking for something. And I signed a bill, very hard to get, actually very complicated, because the drug companies didn't want it, the labs didn't want it, the doctors didn't want it, because, they thought they had liability. I signed a non-liability clause. I got it approved. And everybody's happy. We've saved, with Right to Try, we've saved thousands and thousands of lives of people that are terminally ill. And people would say, well, we can't do that because they may die. I said, they're going to die anyway. And yet they were in there for close to 60 years now trying to get that approved. And I got it approved through Congress. I got it approved. You had to go through Congress on that one. And we're saving lives, tremendous numbers of lives. I'm very proud of that one, Right to Try. It sounds easy. You'd think it would be easy to get it approved, actually, but it was very, very tough. Gone for many, many years. I took care of the vets better than anybody. We had a 92% approval rating, and now it's going way down, I understand. But we had a lot of bad people in the VA, and you weren't able to fire them because of civil service and various other reasons. And I got that taken care of, and we let go of 9,000 really bad people. And I also, people were waiting in line for literally months. And some people were becoming terminally ill because they couldn't get something taken care of early. And I said, you wait in line, and you have to wait in line for more than 24 hours. You go outside to a private doctor. We pay the bill, and you get yourself taken care of. We went up to it, and it actually saved money, as opposed to you'd think it would cost. It actually saved a lot of money. But when you think of it, we did things that nobody's ever done. With the VA, we had a 92% approval rating. Nobody has ever been. We were 36, I think, 36 points higher than previous. So we're very proud of what we did for the vets and what we did for the military and what we did for the farmers. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And we have a nasty race ahead of us because, you know, we have the communists, the Marxists, the fascists after us. We have a lot of bad people after us. We have a lot of very bad people in this country. And we have, fortunately, we have mostly great people in this country. And really, the people in this room, right from the beginning, we struck a chord. I didn't even have to work too hard with that. I worked hard once I got into office to produce all the things I said. But we'll do that again, and we'll do it in spades. We're going to do a great job for the farmers, the manufacturers, but we're going to do a great job for your state. And I just want to thank you for your support. You've been incredible, and for your leadership. You people have been amazing. And thank you very much, Matt.